It's People to People, the People podcast of the DMV. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about we and God we trust. Sir Rod and Lady Z, PTP. Positive thinking people, positive thinking people. Good evening. Welcome. Here's People to People with Rodney Grimes. Hope everybody's having a blessed day. As you know, we move forth to always trying to bring some positive information, so forth and so on. I'm not having a guest today. I've had some topics, a certain topic that I wanted to talk about, and it kind of just has been something personal with myself and some experiences that I had encountered over the last few days. And so, with that said, I just wanted to really come to you and talk about some things. So y'all bear with me. We started a little late. We here at the location. There are classes going on where they be teaching the youth some real powerful information, and so sometimes they'll run over, and it'll cause us to kind of come in a little late, but that's okay because it's all about positive thinking people as far as we're concerned, and we do the best we can to come together and do things and make things happen. So, with that said, here I am trying to move forward and just do what I do. So, for everybody that's just tuning in, my name is Rodney Grimes. I'm your host, and I'm talking about then and now. Then and now. It's something that's really got to me after the election, just talking to different people about how people are feeling, talking about the crimes and the things that's going on in our homes, in our schools, in the communities, just throughout the United States itself. And I'm talking about then and now. And I thought about this because I had several conversations with some different individuals of different ethnic backgrounds. And we were talking about how it used to be, and how it is right now. I was born in 1960. So the school started getting integrated in 1967, 1968, around that time. Martin Luther King was killed in 1968. Around the time we also lost John F. Kennedy as the president. We went through it. And it was a challenge for us because it was breaking these racial barriers in different areas where blacks lived on one side of the track and whites lived on the other. And some things is a little touchy for us to talk about, but then we need to really pay attention about where we are and how we're going about things right now. And we come a long way, and we know that for a fact, but we still got a long way to go. And one of the things that several things that have been on my heart and it bothers me is that when it comes to the law and how we are judged and what we are held to be accountable for when we break the law and when other people break the law, they can get away with things. And it's just not right. It's not right. And I had to experience something today where I saw someone very dear to me with handcuffs on them. And it really bothered me because I looked at it as like it's a form of slavery. Who wants to have their hands in chains? Who wants to have their feet in chains? But worse than that, who want to have their mind in chains? Think about that. Who wants to have that? And this affects all of us. I remember when I joined the Marine Corps, they told us there's only one color, it was green. And I tried to believe that And when we got in there, only in certain situations did it really come out to be that, because it still was the fact that it was individuals who had never been around a black person before, and some of the black people hadn't really networked and functioned around some white people at the same time. And so now we talking about back in the 30s, the 40s, man. You remember a black man couldn't even look at a white woman. They couldn't have relationships publicly or none of that. And now we can do that. You can walk down the street, a black man can walk down the street holding a white woman's hand. White woman can walk down the street holding a black woman's hand, vice versa. You got two women, black and white, holding hands, and it's just all over the place. And that's okay. I'm not mad with that, because you teach his own. But one of the things that really bothers me is that we have a tendency not to deal with the truth and the facts of what we have to deal with on a daily basis. And believe it or not, where we at as a country right now, it is real scary. Uh, a couple of maybe a day after the election, 2 days after that, I woke up as a black man in this country, and I wasn't scared, but I had some really odd feelings in my stomach. I didn't know how to really express how I was feeling, and I've had some conversations with some other individuals who are of the white race, who they had some eerie feelings too. But when I talked to them, they didn't have that deep down gut feeling that I had. And I knew that by the conversations that we were having, because I realized that in this country, most of the time, if police pull you over, white or black, and you're a white person, they're going to treat you different. We just got to deal with the truth the way it is. And when you're black and get pulled over, you got to make sure that you maintain a low profile. You want to be very submissive, because you will get treated a different way. And and I've just been thinking about so many things. And I'm talking about, it goes as far as the movies and things like that. One of the things that really bothered me, they don't have no problem with to continue to show movies with slaves, where people are getting beat and acting stupid or acting submissive to another race. When children see this on television, this puts a stereotype in their mind. I don't care how you look at it, how you want to say it. It's the truth. It makes black people look like we're always submissive. We're always the underdog. And that's not true. And that's something that we as black people, we got to start to stand up and make sure that we also represent ourselves in a positive way. Now, I'm not trying to sound like a racist. I'm just talking about the truth, because we already know. Let me tell you something. If you are in a situation, and we've seen it over and over and over, and I just know, just even with now, we got a man that's getting ready to take over running a country that's been convicted of many, many crimes. Okay. And I'm not really mad at the guy. I kind of, like certain things about him I like. I have to say that. And he's a shrewd businessman, and he's a person that created his own system. And I respect him for that. I respect him for that, because what he did, he made it work for him. I mean, he made it so he don't have to pay no taxes. He got away with that. He committed crimes. He still, get ready to lead. He got one of the highest office in the United States. And and a lot of us, we got people that went to jail for selling marijuana, just trying to feed their family. You know, we got people that are in jail that probably didn't even commit some crimes just based on the color of their skin. We can't even imagine how many people have been incarcerated for many, many years who they know that they were innocent, but because of their skin color and that they didn't have money, that they had to spend a majority of their life behind bars. Why am I talking about this then and now? Because what about the future? What are we going to do to change a lot of this? And when I say we, I'm talking about black, white, Hispanics, everybody, because it's a big issue. And I'm worried about my grandchildren. I really am. And this is something been on my heart. I don't want my grandson to grow up and he got to worry about being pulled over because of the color of his skin. And I don't want him to feel like if he commit a crime that he's not going to be treated fairly like everybody else. I don't want him to assume that. And let me say this. If my grandson, who happens to be a black kid, if he feels inferior in any kind of way like that, how does the white kid feel when he see it? What is it that, how does he feel? How does he feel when he looks and say, hey, because I'm white, I can get away with it. Because I'm white, they may not do nothing to me. And then we talking about it's so bad that when you go into a restaurant that we get it's almost like we're going backwards. And they made that statement talk about make America great again. Well, but let me tell you, I don't really understand what makes America great again if it's going to be where people are being segregated, treated unfairly, disrespected because of their religion, their lifestyle, the color of their skin, and who they're married to and where they live. That doesn't make sense to me. And, a lot of people may not like what I'm saying. Frankly, I'm at a point right now at 64 years old, I really don't care whether you like it or not. I'm just saying because I care because of the youth that's coming up under us and the days that I have to go and move around in this country as a black man and walk. And I'm going to walk with pride because I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of what my grandfather accomplished, my father, my mother, my parents. I'm looking at what they accomplished. And I'm not going to walk with my head down. I served this country. I remember when going overseas, I was so proud to be an American. And it was many times that I found after I was respected just as American, but then I also found out that other countries looked at us and say, man, but they treat y'all bad over there. These are the conversations that I've had with other people from outside this country. Why do they treat black people so bad? And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and blame white America for all the trials and tribulations which we deal with today. A lot of it we bring on ourselves. We have to change what we're doing. We got to change the narratives on many, many things. One of the things that really bothered me, okay, we got our young boys walking around with their pants hanging down when we know that what that represented many, many, many years ago. It represented that they was raped. The man was raped by other men, and it was to humiliate them. And the funniest thing, it's not the white man that's making them walk around like that today. So that's even on us. We got to educate our kids. We got to talk about the truth. We got to get them to a point where they understand, yo, man, pull your pants up because that doesn't represent us properly. And something with really the other thing that gets me is that this, and I'm just keeping it real. As Black Americans, man, we got to get to a point, man. We really, really got to change the way we're going about things because something is sad that we want to point the finger at everybody else. We got to fix our own problems. Start at home. I do not allow my grandchildren. I'm not going to allow them to disrespect me in any kind of way. We're not having it. Not in my household. And I'm going to let them know you got to you got to respect yourself, and I teach them that. And the one thing I remember, I shared this with some other individuals. I'm not going to say certain places and names and stuff, but I worked at this place as a caterer. Okay, a very prominent location where people was running for office and everything, and they had some of the Caucasian individuals had their sons and some of their grandchildren with them in there. And I remember going up and I was a server, and I went up to this young Caucasian white male, and I had to say sir to him, and that's because I was doing my job. I was serving. Okay, so the adult that was next to him said, "Sir, would you like this?" And then he had the young guy next to him and said, "How about you, sir?" Well, I would have expected the guy that was sitting next to him to say something kind to me to make his child understand this is a man just doing a job. This is not a slave. This is not somebody beneath you. This is a person doing a job. But I didn't get that. So later on that night, I came home humiliated and told my wife I won't do it again. I pick and choose when I was going to do that type of work again because I saw the energy that was put out. And I thought to myself, when are we, the adults, going to take over and start making a change? It's you not. I don't care how you look at it. There's no way you're going to get rid of all the black people on the earth. It ain't happening. It's not happening. You can try to give us diseases, feed us this garbage with the food. You can do all the things that people have been doing, and we gonna still be here. We're not going nowhere, and nobody's going to be able to run the whole country. It's not going to happen. If anything, you're going to destroy it. And I say the country and the world. Not one man owns this. God is the creator. He owns this, not us. This is just a area where we come in and we only here temporarily. This is not something that we're gonna be here on the regular for a very, very long time. It's not. So for us, it's rough. It's rough for us to see what's going on and be able to understand it and be able to work through this, you know? And I don't I right now I feel so bad. I feel so bad with so many individuals that have to go through this. And it's not just children. This is adults. This is adults that's going through it. And it's not good. We got to do something about this. Each one of us. We got to start at home. You know, a lot of people want to know why I do the podcast. It's not for me to come on here and talk bad about no racism and none of that. It's about me talking about positive thinking people. It's about power to power and people to people. People to people. Guess what? When I say people to people, that's all races, all people. How many of us right now is feeling just a little bit disappointed? Just disappointed. It hurts me to my heart. Let me tell you something. It's not happening. It's no me personally. I'm going to die if it came down to it. That somebody going to try to beat me and put some chains on me and try to rape me and rape my family. They're going to have to kill me. I'd rather be dead. And I know many of those people back then. And that's something that really bothers me. It makes it seem like all these black people back there was just so submissive and bowing down. That's ain't no way it was like that. A lot of us died. Millions of us fighting for what we believe. And when I talk like this, I don't want white people to think, "Oh, Rodney, man, you being racist." No, I'm not. I'm dealing with the truth. I got white friends. I watch how they move. I watch how they talk, and it's so belittling sometimes for me, a man that served this country. I'm not out here breaking no laws. I help everybody I can. You can't see him, but my wife and I we received a community the lifetime achievement award signed by President Biden for community service that we do. You know why? And it's not just for in black neighborhoods; it's all over. When are we going to just listen? I look at kids, and many people know this. You can take kids from all different backgrounds and put them in a room. You put a ball in there and some games and stuff, and guess what? 99% of them are going to play together. They're not going to really care. It's not going to be so much about the skin color. It's going to be about probably who's the biggest, who's the smartest to maneuver to get the ball. He want to play with it. Now, we understand that human nature is like that. But we got to make changes. And us as a people, we got to make changes in our communities. And this is black and white and Hispanic and Asian. The Asian comes into the neighborhood and what they do, they put up these big cages around and we run in there and give them our money and they don't give us nothing back in the community. They look at us like we a piece of germs, but they take the money. And the funniest thing is that we constantly go in there and give it to them when they don't even want to even talk to us. And I don't understand it. You go into the black community, the lower income areas, man, they got more dog parks than they do have basketball courts in all areas. How many recreation centers do you see that the kids can go in there and work on computers and things of that nature? And they wonder why the kids break in there. The reason why they break in there and steal the stuff is because guess what? You don't teach them nothing else. You don't give them no other options. We as a people in this country have to make a difference. Some people might not like what I'm saying. I don't care. It's the truth. I do not want my grandson walking around. Now, you may not believe this, but I have a white grandson, and I love him dearly. That I do. He's intelligent, he's loving, and when we're together, we don't see color. He's my grandson. He comes into the house, man. I am so proud of him. And it's amazing that we can sit down as a family and not have these issues among us because we don't allow them. But I want you to think about things. Think about how society is set up. We watch the Western movies. You don't see no black people. You see them, they walk around carrying a bucket and they don't have shoes on and they yesm and all that. Come on now. Come on. Nah, not all of us like that. And we talk about the Indians and how they was all called. We can go and watch television, and it's allowed for on the television for them to use the N word and call Indians savages and crazy and so forth and so on. And they show the cowboys, which are white, riding around shooting each other in the back. Um, in some cases, they don't outright show you, but you see them where they raping women, they beating them, and all kind of stuff. And this is subliminal messages being put out there. We got to make a difference. For a long time, my favorite shows is Andy Griffin, Leave It to Beaver, Hazel, right? These are my favorite shows because that's what I grew up watching. When the Cosby came on, I was like, oh man, oh, we finally got some black people just moving on up. You know, we had a good time where they were showing still in just a struggling family. That everything was almost like they was on welfare, struggling with everything. When for real, guess what? It was a lot of white families going through it just like that. They wasn't showing that. Most of the time, if you look at all the movies right now, when you go back, you know what I used to wonder? Why I used to always see all the white men back in the day all dressed up all the time, wearing ties and hats and brims and, looking sharp. And we'd be walking around looking like bums. That's on television. But I saw a movie that really, really made me happy, made me feel proud. Harlem Night. How many of you watched it? When we had all the comedians in there working together to that was a hell of a movie. They were looking sharp, dressed, they was making money. They was doing like everybody else. I had a conversation with someone today, yesterday, a few days ago. They opened my eyes to so much. We come a long way, but we still got a long way to go. In 1960 is when I was born. They were still lynching black people. They were still lynching them. They were sending them to jail for no reason. I've got one of my best friends who is deceased who was killed by another black young man. They gave him 13 years. I know somebody that had intercourse where basically I'm beyond they raped a white woman and they gave him 80 years. 80 years. Now the guy that killed my friend, black on black, he got 13. And the guy who raped the white woman, he got 80 years. That's crazy. Now, I'm not saying it was okay for him to. Don't nobody deserve to get raped. But God, what's something that doesn't make sense to me? And I saw somebody very dear to me with cuffs on them that it made me feel sick to my stomach. That today I had a couple of guests that I thought to bring in, and I said no because I just had to get this off my chest. When I tell you that I'm afraid, I'm not afraid of the man next door, the man down the street. I'm afraid for our future. I'm afraid of what we're building. We forgot about the creation what God gave us. God didn't put us on here to be like this. I really don't believe that. I believe that He wants all of us. You know something? If He didn't want us to love one another, guess what? We wouldn't be able to make babies together. You can take a black, white, Asian, man, long as a male and female, you put them together, they can make a baby. You can't take a giraffe and put it with a monkey and get a baby out of it. It ain't happening. It's not happening. But you can with human beings. So that we're more alike than we are different. You can take a kidney from a black man, put it in a white man. You can take a white man's heart and put it in an Asian man's body. That tells you something. And we as a people got to do it collectively. And we all, it's nothing wrong with you being proud of who you are. I get that. But don't be proud of hurting people. Don't be proud of taking advantage of people. Don't be proud of putting people down. And you know something, there's going to be many people who have some power that's going to say, who do Rodney Grimes think he is to be able to talk about things like this? Well, let me tell you something. As long as my family is walking and breathing, I'm going to speak my piece until God take me away from here. And if He take me away, then so be it. But at least I'll be a man that could stand up with pride and say, you know, I tried to do something. My grandson that happens to be white, and my grandsons that happen to be black, when we're all together, there's no color among us. We are human beings. Those are my grandsons. Somebody mess with my white grandson, they gonna get the same rage from me as this is my black ones. Not because he's white or black, it's because I love him. He's a human being. And a lot of us got to understand that. Man. So I don't want to really hurt nobody's feelings, but I just gotta keep it real. I just want you to deal with the truth. And when we talk about this, white people that are afraid to talk about this, please know that we feel the pain. We feel it. And it's something we have to deal with on a regular basis. And it's so bad that it filters down from one race into our race, and then it makes us treat each other bad, which we're responsible for that. If you breed a certain animal a certain way for a long time, after a while it becomes hereditary, that they'll act a certain way. I'm sorry that a lot of black people need to be reprogrammed to love themselves, to walk around with pride, to walk around with respect. Pull your pants up. Why would you want somebody to see your dirty drawers? Why would you want to? I was on a subway and these young black kids, they were so disrespectful to all the elders on the subway train, and it hurt me to the core of my heart. I couldn't believe that it was going on like it was. And I looked at them, and my wife just told me, Rodney, don't say anything. Because it took everything for me to now to just say, yo, sit your butt down. Because back in the day, back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, let me tell you something. A lot of these kids, they wouldn't be acting like they're acting right now. Oh, no, they wouldn't. Believe me. A lot of them, let me tell you something. Back in the 60s, these young boys running around here carjacking people, that wouldn't happen. Not back then. Police ain't even going. But let me tell you something. You run up on a guy, and you run up on the right one, he will whoop your butt, bring you home to your parents. And if your parents didn't act right, they might got a whooping too. Things are so different, but we can make them better. What are we going to do right now? Are we going to just sit back and let this hatred filter into us, that get into our spirit that we're not going to want to even look at each other again? We're not going to want to be friends. We're not going to want to be neighbors. We got to seriously think about what's going on. I don't know why I'm the way I am. I just know that my creator, Yahshua, he put it in me. He put it in my spirit. And he said, Rodney, you have to say something. You have to do something. It's a lot of us. There's a lot of interracial marriages. You know something? You don't understand that the hatred that we could see on television affects us when we see our mates. I'm gonna tell you about a situation I had one time. I was down in Baltimore and I was dating this Italian girl. I want to say she was Italian. Anyway, but she was white. I'm not gonna say her last name. I'm gonna change her name. I'm gonna say Dana. Um, so Dana and we went into the Black Museum down there, and it tells you before you back then. I don't know if it still do it, but it tells you got to be prepared for what you're going to see because you're going to see some very graphic things coming in. And now you got to understand, me and her had been dating, and so and I at the time I felt like I loved her. So she was my girlfriend. So we went in, and as we went through and start to see the pictures, and I saw how the black people were treated. I mean, they had pictures where they was throwing babies to crocodiles. Live. They showed pictures where uh, they had been whipping a black person with a whip. They showed how they brought them over on ships, piled up on each other. They were sleeping and laying on top of their vomit and all that. Just it was unreal. So as we walked through, the further we got to the end, the further away I got away from her. I didn't want her to touch me. I did not want her to touch me. It hurt me so bad. And so when you go out of this museum, it'll talk to you and tell you, that you got to diffuse yourself because you don't want to bring this hatred outside of the building, even though they were showing you what a lot of black people had to go through. So when we got out and we was going to the car, I didn't even open the door for her. I was going to tell her to catch a bus home. I was so mad. I was so hurt. And she was crying and said, Rodney, why are you mad at me? I didn't do nothing to you. She said, I didn't do it. And I just looked at her and I was like, I know you didn't do it, but look at what they did to us. Now, why was I so hurt with her? Because I felt like she didn't feel my pain. I felt like she didn't really know what it did for me to see them treat my people like that. It did something to me. We end up riding home and we end up talking and everything. We stayed together a couple more years. We didn't break up because of no racial thing. Um, Back then I was running buck wild, but nevertheless, uh, um, I just realized it was something that affected me. The reason why I told you that story, because it still affects me today, certain things. Sometimes when we watch the movies, my wife would say, Rodney, don't get too deep into it where you start to mess the movie up, because I'll see something where they got the black person is talking uneducated, acting like a maniac, and that's not all of us. And a lot of times we portray that in many movies. And why is it today that there's still so many slave movies that come out and they show just black people being beaten and running around scared? But let me tell you something. I always said if I ever had enough money to make a movie, guess what? I'm gonna make a movie and show you how some of the black people was fighting back. Well, a lot of them say you bet not hit me again, okay? Because there ain't nowhere in the hell that you gonna hit me and it's just me and you, and you ain't got no gun. Oh no. Mm-mm. That I it's just what we are today. When we think about this, we got to make change. My wife don't like watching black movies with all black casts in it. She don't. You know why? Because a lot of times there's a lot of profanity, a lot of the N word is used in it, drugs and all that. We're not all like that. We're respectable individuals. And I understand now after I started watching something, I was like, man, well, we portray ourselves like we don't have no home training sometimes. So this is not me just pointing the finger at the other races. I'm talking about my race too. We all have to make a change. If I hurt anybody feelings, that's not my intent. I have a lot of white friends that I love dearly. I remember one of my white friends, I said, when we certain individual was running the country, this wasn't long ago, and I said, what would happen if a riot breaks out? I said, what would you do? And I'm not calling his name because I want to respect his privacy. I said, would you come and go with the white people or would you come go with the blacks? And he looked at me, he said, what would you do? And I know why he flipped the question. He flipped it right back at me. I said, really what I would have to do so that I don't get killed right away, I'm gonna have to go with the black people. He said, and I would have to go with the white. I said, well, what would happen if me and you coming down the street and then we see each other and what we'll do is we'll forget about our friendship? And he looked at me. I said, because I wouldn't let nobody hurt you. I would have to tell him, y'all not going to do nothing to my friend. And he looked at me. And I meant that. I would have to stand right beside him and say, what are y'all doing? You can't hurt my friend. He's a good person. His skin don't have nothing to do with who he is. It's his heart. And a lot of us got to get past that. We go into the restaurants right now. We got all this Hispanics working in these different areas, and we go in there and they make us feel like we don't even supposed to be here. Why? A lot of that's being embedded in people's head. Now we have change coming. I see if you watch the commercials, you see a lot of interracial couples now on television. I'm telling you, when I was 14, 15 years old, you did not see that. And anybody that was back in the late 60s, early 70s, they didn't see that. I'm telling you. I don't care what you can go back and look. Now you see interracial couples riding, going on trips, on car commercials and things of that nature. We got them on talk shows. And the funniest thing now, we didn't went so far as that, but we got this, where you got uh, 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 the gay people that they're showing that as much as they're showing interracial activity. I'm not judging you. I'm just talking about some of the things that we expose. Some things we got to take our time and really evaluate. What are we doing? What are we putting in our children's mind? What are we creating? Are we creating the next child that's going to say, let's make America great again, and mean it by making the neighbors hold hands and saying kumbaya together? Oh, happy day. What a wonderful world. Or do we create that one that he can't wait to try to backstab somebody just because they got a different skin color? You know, we got to think about this. I'm sorry if I offended anybody. That's not my intent. But it is really, really, really. And, a lot of us will not be able to speak the truth, but somebody got to. I'm telling you, when you go back and you look at these different programs and different things that been coming, that's coming out, we got to make a change. Make your sons pull their pants up. Talk to your daughters. Don't let them sit with their legs open. They don't have to walk around looking like hoochie mamas. Who does that? That's what we're projecting. And when I talk about these things, that goes back to say, what are we showing our youth? Are we preparing leaders to be leaders as leaders with a heart and open mind to say, let's bring this melting pot to an area where we all get along? That's really important. I would defend this country with my life. And in this country, there are Asian, Hispanic, white, black. They're all kind of individuals. And it's not that I want to go and destroy somebody else's country. Yo, if you want to eat jelly beans and rice, that's on you. I ain't mad at you. Just don't try to force it on me over here. And if you over here and you want to go eat jelly beans and rice, then go over there with them. But go over there with respect. Respect their culture. Respect what they stand for. Respect what they live for. Respect what they believe. Go learn from them. It'll make you a much better person. The name of my show is People to People. That's because I believe that what I service is every individual, not a white, not a black, not a Hispanic. I said people. And the power you possess, learn how to use it in a way that is a blessing for somebody else. Don't make a way you're going to try to hurt somebody. Why would you want to do that? I don't get it. I still to this day can't understand why people are so mean. Some people just want to hurt people for no reason. When we was a kid, we did something that was so foul. I did a couple of things with individuals. One time, me and one of my friends we caught a snapping turtle. God forgive me. God forgive me for what we did to the snapping turtle. Because I love animals. But the friend that I was with, I'm just showing you how people operate, right? The friend that I was with was the one that suggested that we start to punish it. We was hurting it. And the psychology of that was he was taking some frustration out and from his life as a child, and we took it out on the snapping turtle. And we caught the snapping turtle in a swamp. We went into the area where the thing lived at and disrupted his life for no reason. I'll never forget that. Never. Oh, God, forgive me. It's a turtle. But I pray that God forgive me for just stepping into that arena where that turtle was and disrupting his life. Can you imagine us as a people doing that to each other? We gotta be better than this. And I'm hoping that when this transition goes within the next few months, that our country will find a way that we'll be able to stand tall and make America great again. Make it a great again. Now, when they say again, I'm talking about whenever it was some happiness, because I know that this country had happiness before. Make it great again when we was prospering. When we was growing natural foods. That's making it great again. Getting them products out of our all that bad preservatives and all that garbage out of our foods. That's making it great again. You know what's making it great again? When you can go to church and all of you can go down and you can go down to the river and see somebody getting baptized instead and is all different individuals right there just praising God together. That's making it great again. When your neighbor just happen to be Asian moves into the block and they a little short on things to cut the grass and the gentleman down the street got a lawnmower who happened to be black say, hey, you can borrow my lawnmower. And the white guy across the on the other side and say, yo, he'll come over with his weed eater and help him get his yard tight so that they can live in a block together and everybody yard can look good. Not where one is talking about you ain't supposed to be here. Who the hell are you to dictate who can live if they can afford it in some area? That's being mean. That's being hateful. And it's a lot of us like that. I know I'm going at it, but we got to start within ourselves. And this is not just about black and white and Asian and all that. This is about us even within ourselves as human beings. We got to learn to love one another. You know something? I go into a place where it might be 100 black people and 4 white people. And the people that's working in the location will treat the white people better than they'll treat all the rest of the black people. Why? That's because of what's been taught. That's the energy. Then we're going to some places, you're going to a store and you happen to be the only black in there. And that happened to me at I was going to buy some fish. And a little white girl, little tiny girl, man, she just act like I wasn't even standing there. And I asked, I said, you're not gonna ask me, do I need any help? And she said, do you? And I looked at her. I was like, whoa, shorty. Yo, first of all, I'm old enough to be your father. Let alone, I don't know who you think you're talking to. But the little white girl who happened to look like a boy, which I didn't know, because that's what made me really want to feel like I wanted to slap the teeth out of her mouth before I found out she was a girl. But the way she was treating me. And so, long story short, I went up to the register. I told the people I don't even want to buy the fish. So I went back into this place, right? And I try to not bash the companies and stuff like that anyway. But I went back again, and it was a black girl who was working in there when the white girl treated me like that. And I saw her and I said, you remember me? I said, yeah. And I said, you remember that girl treated me so bad? Why? And she made up some excuse. The black girl did. Instead of saying, sir, you know what? She really shouldn't have treated you that way. So, you know something? I realized that in our time that we are really, really in bad shape. But if we're going to make America great again, we got to do it by showing love to one another. It's not about separating each other. It's not by humiliating each other, saying who's better. You know, you're good in some things, and I'm better than others. If we look at us as a people, let me tell you something. When it comes to athletes, man, black people, man, we not to be played with. And that's almost in anything that we put our mind to. And I tell you, the same thing in some things with different cultures, whether white, Asian, or Hispanic, or whatever case, we all have our talents that are very, very, we move in a very different way. And it makes it beautiful. You know, I think that that's the one thing that's so good about the Olympics. When we do the Olympics, everybody comes together. Everybody competes. And it's not so much about black, white, Asian, this, that. It's about the human being just pushing his body to the limit to be the best of the best. I send peace and blessings to all of you. Go back and look at some of the movies. See what happened. Look at all the old Westerns. We're all the black people. You know? And then when we do make something, don't make us run around acting like we goofy and retarded, or we don't know how to have shoes and like, come on. It's crazy. The Indians, my mother was a Blackfoot, and I'm pretty sure that she was a beautiful woman. I didn't get to meet her. I know she wasn't a savage. So my message to you hear this program, is, let us be kind to each other. You want to make America great again? Make it great by making it by love and kindness. That's what we got to do. My name's Rodney Grimes. I'm your host for People to People. I love you. I send peace and blessings to you. And I hope that, you get something good out of this message. I am in my feelings. I really am. And it's just so much that we need to do moving forward to make this country a good country. Let's do it together. And I send peace and blessings to you.
People to People, the People podcast of the DMV. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about we, and God we trust. Sir Rod and Lady Z, PTP.